Sin with that flex and the Gwen. It looks like FPX may well prioritize the Varus once more, which I completely agree with, but I feel like Suning may end up having some better tools to potentially deal with it. The effectiveness of the arrow kind of limited into a Gwen, and also the Lee Sin good at finding those angles to approach, find the flanks, find the kicks. We'll see if they want to lock that one in.
FPX have to decide what they want to go for in the bottom lane here. Or they don't have to, but it looks like they're going to. Is the Varus being the hover here? And you could go with something like your support to go for your support jungle duo, get your bot lane locked in as well. Or you could go for something priority in one of these solo lanes.
I think for FPX, I'd want to see a solo laner just because you know you're going up against the Gwen. The Jayce really works because it's flexible and you know you're going to have a solid laning phase. So locking that in feels pretty good. I think Suning, you kind of, I think take the AD carry here. I think one of the issues with the Jhin was the fact that the pool got thinned before you had an opportunity to pick. So I think I would rate taking your AD carry option now before the opportunity comes in from FPX. And then you kind of roughly even in terms of the lanes you picked up. Obviously the Gwen and the Jayce are flexible ones, but instead they opt to go for that Twisted Fate. So looking for that map pressure from Angel. He's had some really strong performances on this before, able to play the map very intelligently, but it does mean FPX will once again probably be targeting the AD carries with their bans. And Suning, I guess you can kind of thin the options in the mid lane for Doinb. Maybe you could get rid of the Orianna, something that does decently well into the TF, but actually going to target the Galio first as something that can match the roams. Silas could even actually be an okay ban here, just for the fact that we often see that matchup because you can steal the ultimate for the Twisted Fate and match. See if they end up going with that.
Yeah, we'll see what the ban is from Suning. It could be banning away the mid lane Galio, could be banning away the support Galio as well if they want to go for an aggressive bot lane or something to try and punish this Varus, go for dives on the bottom side. But when you see the Gwen in the top lane, exactly. When you see the Gwen alongside like a TF and a Lee Sin, you expect Suning to play towards the top side, right? Try and set Bin up as the carry. This Silas you predicted will be banned.
Yeah, and then they go for the Thresh, which, you know, we didn't see too much priority than last time. But I think the thing with the Thresh is it frees up a lot of AD carries you can pick. Things like Aphelios, when they have the Thresh with them, are a lot more sustainable. You kind of feel like it has to be that AD carry pick coming out here for Suning. Unless they have a support they have particular priority on, they could take that now. If they wanted the Leona specifically with the Thresh down, it could be good. Looks like they might end up leaning into the Rakan. So a safe laner, but doesn't have the most pressure. So we'll see what FPX want to do in return. They could pick a longer range support to harass. They could just go for something like the Leona. They have a bit of choice in that regard.
Yeah, I think Suning are going for Ezreal, aren't they? They've got the Rakan. We know Huanfeng loves Ezreal. He always plays Ezreal when he can. And it feels like it would be that safe bot laner for the side of Suning. But for FPX, they want an engage tool by the looks of things, and it will be the Rell for Crisp. And now they have to decide on what does Doinb take in this mid lane. The Silas, the Galio removed, but he could go for something like a Kled.
Could definitely bring that out here. Would obviously threaten the TF quite heavily. I think Orianna, if you're playing the safe game, makes sense. It does decently well into the Twisted Fate and contest priority, but see what he's toying with. The Ryze was banned away in the last draft, and obviously can, to an extent, match that global pressure. Could it contest in priority? That one will get picked up. And Suning, the problem with this AD carry option is, like, it's not just that Varus is frustrating to deal with in later stages. It's also the fact that he's got such a long range. It's very difficult to... Sorry, he has a long range in the later stages, but in the laning phase, he has such a powerful lane. A lot of champions just get pressured by it, and they are going to take the Jhin here. Now, I think this is better here than it was before, because before, the problem was there was, you know, you just hitting the front line. There was just too much bulk. You look at this FPX lineup, it's only really Tian who can soak ultimates, and that's kind of when he's got his Crescent Guard up. Everyone else, you're going to be doing a fair amount of damage for. There's squish your targets, and I do prefer the Jhin against squish your targets. I'm still not super sold on it, but I think it's definitely better here than it was in that game one. And as you said, Huanfeng was playing the Jhin mechanically well. It was really the setup that wasn't there for him to succeed.
So we'll see if the setup is different this time. Well, the setup is different this time around. Let's see if they can execute the setup better this time around on the side of Suning. Angel on this Twisted Fate. I keep on talking about how Angel's an underrated mid laner. Well, we need to see it here in this game because they are 1-0 down against FPX. And this is a team that if you could beat, if you could upset FPX, you would prove that you're a team to contend with when it comes to playoffs. But If it's a 2-0, the story might be a little bit different. FPX, though, never a team you can ever quite count out. And it does feel like they have a lot of tools to snowball the game in their favor.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, I look towards that Rell in the bot lane. I look towards the Varus. That's a threatening lane, especially post 6. You know, the Rakan is safe as a pick, but the Jhin less so. And we saw, you know, Huanfeng, we saw Aux very much leaving him alone, isolated, and he played pretty safe, but it came to a point where FPX just forced. They managed to find that dive. Could see a similar fate here. And I feel like, you know, there's good tools on the side of Suning, but FPX have kind of matched. The Twisted Fate with that global pressure is going to be matched by the Prio contest of the Ryze and his Realm Warp to assist in the side lanes. So I feel like it's pretty even overall, but I'm kind of edging towards FPX with what they have. And I think, you know, I'm looking towards that top lane. Jayce against Gwen. Either of these two snowball, it can be pretty disastrous for the opposing side.
And I want to mention what happened in the World Championship final between these two players, because sure, Gwen wasn't the champion that existed at the time, but the one time we saw a carry come out from Nuguri, it was actually a pretty one-sided lane in favor of Nuguri because Canyon got involved, because Showmaker got involved. They were able to get this Kennen ahead, and then in the team fights, Nuguri was able to just take over the game. Whether or not that can happen, though, in this kind of setup is going to be a different question, because Doinb does have the potential to roam. There is plenty of potential to be able to dive onto that Gwen in the top side, but whether or not Nuguri wins that early laning phase is a different question.
Yeah, and I think he should have the pressure in the early levels. But again, we saw such a slow early game last game. You know, they had these high agency junglers, but just didn't see too much proactivity from them. And, you know, wonder if he'll have a little bit different here, if they'll look for those gank opportunities. I feel like it was kind of, you know, we saw those pressure coming in invades, contesting for camps, contesting for objectives, but neither team felt comfortable to kind of bank on, you know, going for an aggressive play that might backfire, you know, committing to a gank that might end up being punished. And we do see once again, FPX looking for that ward at the Raptor camp. We can see, pretty heavy engage.
Nice sidestep there, and they're going on towards Lwx, turning towards Crisp instead as the fourth shot comes through. That means the trade pretty handedly won by Suning.
Yeah, I mean, managing to dodge away from that one, but it is going to be the level 2 hit first by FPX, so they have to back away and be careful. Just respect this. But as I was saying, we do see that ward placed down by Doinb onto the Raptor camp, so they now have vision of SofM. They'll have a timer on the respawn of these Raptors, so it's going to be around sort of 4:55 when this camp respawns.
Look at this efficiency. Tell you what, there's not going to be any... Oh, no. I had
you
to
lost all that
curse it.
efficiency.
I was literally about to say there's not going to be any competitions in the Chinese community for speed efficiency on the Lee Sin clear when it comes to SofM, but one of the chickens resets. I think he's still fine. He's still probably on track. But both junglers, for the first time today, pathing to the same side of the map. Nuguri has priority right now as the scuttle will spawn in 10 seconds. We could still see a bit of a scrap.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Tian just takes this because Doinb's got priority, Nuguri's got priority. It would be suicide if SofM tried to contest this in jungle, so it's a pretty big advantage. And we actually see Doinb move down to the bot side. Doesn't have a ward up and available yet, but they are very much wanting to deny this scuttle. You see the bot lanes moved as well. This is triple prio lanes for FPX, serving them really well in this regard. And they are just going to clean this one up. So SofM will not get a scuttle crab in this first clear. And now his entire jungle's down, right? What can he do other than gank Nuguri? That's the only option he has at this moment. And Tian knows that. He knows there's nowhere else the Lee Sin can be, so he's ready to match.
2v2. Tian has been spotted on a ward from SofM, and SofM knows that this cannot happen anymore. Jumps over to Bin. They part the seed to dodge the accelerated shock blast, and nothing will happen in the end. I'm not sure if SofM managed to get out of Baron Pit without getting spotted by the Scuttle Crab there or not, but regardless, very well answered by FPX. Double Scuttle comes through. The players answered on the top side. Flawless early game.
Yeah, and, you know, denying that scuttle, getting that advantage, allowing Nuguri to shove in and then get the reset. Well, he didn't actually look for the reset there, but was able to reset the wave. These are all positive things that FPX get that on paper, they don't look like a massive amount. It's not like you suddenly saw, you know, Nuguri getting a pentakill or something at level 4, but it's still these little advantages that build up over time and then amount to something more.
Yeah, and I mean, that is the nature of FPX almost always, is building up these incremental advantages until you've got yourself into a position where a dive can happen, where a play around Dragon or around Baron can happen. And then those incremental advantages are exposed so beautifully by the mechanical skill on these players, by the outplay potential that you have across this entire roster. And, you know, there was a lot of questions around Nuguri joining this squad when he was first picked up as Bin. Gets his recall cancelled. That is really unfortunate for him. But, you know, we had Khan on this roster last year, right? And everyone was excited for Khan. It's a carry top laner. Let's see what he can do on FPX. Really didn't work out. And then Nuguri comes over and it's like, well, Nuguri known as quite often a carry top laner as well, but he can play the tanks. He's a bit more well-rounded, and people weren't sure whether it would be the answer. And sure, he definitely has had some rough series across the year, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it's been a huge upgrade for FPX. I think that's pretty unarguable, to the point where Nuguri has been one of the best top laners in the entire league this split now. And then it feels like this is a very well-rounded version of FPX where they can carry through any single lane. That's such a valuable toolkit to have.
And I think it's so important, especially when we look at the diversity of the different teams in the league. But I'm going to hold that thought. It's like we could be setting up for a dive, although I think Tian maybe just backing off on this one. But yeah, especially when you look at teams like EDG, sorry, not EDG, RNG with Zhao in the top lane. You know, that is a team where you want to be able to, you know, potentially either have a top lane you can play safe or one you can play through to contest that. You look at teams like EDG who have a super strong bot lane. Having that versatility in your roster, being able to play through multiple lanes, having reliable carries across the board, it gives you more flexibility that's going to help when you're playing against all the different teams we have in the LPL. It's a big league. There's a lot of teams, and having that flexibility is very valuable.
And I think it's also, it's incredibly important to be flexible across metas, right? Because what we often see in the LPL is the teams with a very distinctive style do the best because the meta comes their way and suddenly they can take over. And, you know, it's not always the case, but quite often the way that LPL teams succeed. And it feels like FPX right now, the meta certainly suiting this heavy roam style from the mid lane and these playmaking junglers. But at the end of the day, if it ends up being an AD carry meta, I believe that Lwx can step up to the plate. If it ends up being a top carry meta, I believe that Nuguri can step up to the plate. It does feel like this is a team that is one of the most well-rounded versions of FPX. Well, probably the most well-rounded version of FPX we've ever seen. And now Nuguri and Bin in a 1v1. TP from Angel, and Doinb is here to answer, but he's going to get gold carded and snipped on through. Doinb is almost just removed immediately. Bin's in trouble, flashes away, dodges the shock blast. Nuguri goes down, and the 2v2 goes to Angel and Bin.
I mean, Angel's able to get there first, and then you see Nuguri, he's not able to walk back up again on that low HP, backs away, and then Doinb almost gets popped instantly as he arrives. This is the point of the Ryze pick. You want to be able to match that Twisted Fate, and you know it's the correct decision in theory from the side of FPX, but they just aren't able to hold up against Bin and Angel. They lose out that kill, they burn both their flashes and that TP down from Doinb, so just a massive win for Suning there.
Beautifully done. Tian, in the meantime, is going to start off this Rift Herald. Now, that ward is not in range of the control ward. So SofM has full information right here. Bin is skipping on over. Angel 2. With ultimates down, it might be a little bit dicey. SofM could just go for a steal. Sonic Wave goes in. Either Herald is there, but Tian has no fear. Just going to drop the ulti and finish that one off in the end.
Yeah, I thought that maybe he was trying to have used the ulti to like interrupt the Lee Sin Q, but the timing just wasn't even. Yeah. Anyway, the ward in the rivers. Yeah, the ward in the rivers, really nice placement because obviously you want to put that control ward in the pit, clear any wards there. So actually a nice one to give them vision. Again, they don't really act on it. They aren't able to capitalize on it in time. So FPX will be able to pick up that Herald, and after that little mishap they had in the top lane, I think it's important to be able to try and pull up a bit of a lead. And it's a bit similar to game one, right? Where FPX is the one taking the objectives and Suning, I guess, are watching them take the objectives. We kind of had that a fair bit. And this first Herald's a bit of a repeat.
In terms of the gold difference in this first Herald, it is almost exactly the same as game number one. I distinctly remember saying, hey, look, Suning at 500 gold up, but there's a Herald for FPX. Where does Tian go with this Herald to even the gold difference? And well, we are in almost exactly that exact same situation. So Tian, once again, where's he going to go with this Herald? By the looks of things, it's that top lane. Bin could be in serious trouble here because Doinb is roaming up as well. SofM is like, all right,
there's no destiny.
I'm doing Drake. Good luck, Bin. You're on your own on this one, buddy. Gonna go for the needlework. Flash forward from Tian, and down will go Bin. Has a bit of sustain, but it's not gonna be enough. And Tian grabs himself that kill. That will be Herald up towards the top side, and that should be first tower.
Yeah, and again, the timing's beautiful. Angel's Destiny has just come up this second, so there was no possible response to come in there. Bin was completely isolated. You have no flash, no way you're getting out on that one with the extended chase. They managed to get that tower in the top lane, a ton of gold for these carries, and now they can push for a second one. You do see the pings coming out now. Maybe Angel goes in with the ult. Bin can TP as well. I think that's going to be the play here, but they just back away. They'll defend the tier 2 in the top lane, but they're not getting anything off this. They're just mitigating the pressure from FPX, who've got that pretty significant advantage.
Angel does have Destiny if shenanigans should continue, but Huanfeng at least is trading plates on the bottom side, right? So 80 carry gold in trade for Nuguri getting a tower early on. Now that gold was spread across the whole team for FPX, so you can see an individual advantage for Nuguri, for Tian, and for Doinb in their respective lanes, although Doinb only about 50 gold up right now. Whereas Huanfeng will be ahead individually for Suning. So the gold just about even, but minor advantages spread out across these lanes.
Yeah, and something to bear in mind as well, with a Twisted Fate, the gold numbers are always a little bit askew just because of the fact that he gets a lot of extra gold from his passive. So as much as, you know, Angel's slightly ahead in this mid lane matchup, you have to kind of factor that in, that it's the kit giving that extra gold value, which you wouldn't see if it was a different champion. And obviously you can argue, well, he's still got the extra gold, but it's like, well, that's kind of part of his kit that's factored in with his strength. So, you know, gets a little bit hard to judge, but it's still a very close game at this point. That tower advantage does mean there's a longer lane. You can see Doinb, he's comfortable going up there because he can just essentially blow through the waves with his wave clear at this point. And at the moment, Nuguri's just in the bot lane trying to apply pressure. Obviously, on the Jayce, you're pretty comfortable even going up against an AD carry. You can just clear the wave from a distance.
I'm going to be clearing some vision here. Drake are not going to be up for another 3 minutes or so. You expect Herald to be the next objective that we see these two teams fighting over. But whether or not we actually see them fighting is the question, because certainly in game number 1, it was much more a game of trading across the map. But if that ends up being the case again, well, so far it definitely feels like FPX are the far better team at doing that objective trade. The Herald used beautifully, but Suning at least answering in terms of gold across the map here. Now, we only have a minute and a half left on plate, and I do wonder if either team will try and make a significant play anywhere to garner some more of those plates, but right now it doesn't feel like it to me.
Yeah, the team's kind of just tying each other up. Not too much has come from this. Lwx is getting some good poke on Huanfeng, though. This could actually lead to some pressure if he keeps getting chunked out. Tian has shown up here to clear out some vision, but again, it feels like you clear out some vision and you back away. And it's just been that slower pace in these games. Feels like both teams sort of eyeing each other up and waiting for this sort of advantage they can find without pushing too far. And
it's
we're
like,
probably just going to end up hitting 40 minutes and get no plates.
You know, since we're talking about a Phoenix here, it's worth mentioning that, you know, Harry Potter, The Order of the Phoenix, is the slowest book, like by a country mile. They spend so long in that book just camping and just waiting for things to happen. Although I may be getting the books confused. It is a while since I read them. But it makes sense that this is a bit of a slow one. But when the book kicks off later on into things, that's when it really pops off. And so I'm hoping that just like Harry Potter, we're going to have something magical coming our way, Orcs.
Wasn't it Deathly Hallows Part 1 where they were camping, right? You know, where they like left Hogwarts and they went camping around.
It's not Part 1 though, because it's one book. We're talking about the books, Orcs. But also, Order of the Phoenix is very slow in the early game as well. In the early game. Towards the start of the book.
Tell you what, Voldemort's late game was kind of weak, by the way.
Yeah. It's when Harry is caught. He's stuck in the house that used to be Sirius's house. And he's not allowed to leave because it's dangerous and all that stuff. And he's just like bored out of his mind.
That is Order of the Phoenix.
He's just like, when is something going to happen? That's kind of like the same game.
And there's Creature, the house.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah.
The house elf.
House elf, that's it, yeah. I don't know why I was thinking house gnome, and I'm like, they're not gnomes.
Gnomes do exist in Harry Potter, though. Another mythical creature. Very exciting. Welcome, everyone, to the Aux and Munchables Harry Potter podcast. We do have a bit of a flu powder coming out from Angel as he's trying to traverse the map here. But needs to be careful not to sneeze. Needs to very specifically say Diagon Alley, or he's going to end up in Nocturne Alley, just like Harry did in book number 2.
Yeah, you see SofM, bit of Wingardium Leviosa, and we'll just grab that scuttle away from FPX. Do you see the dragon spawning on the bot side? You know, Hagrid nowhere to be seen.
Okay, let's... this is going too far now. I'm going to put an end to the Harry Potter references. As the Skull Crab will be taken by Tian. And I'm resisting all urges to make another terrible joke here. Nuguri stopping yet another recall from Bin. I think that's like the 19th time that has happened this game. My concern, Orcs, the reason I'm stopping the Harry Potter jokes is I feel like you and I are English. Harry Potter is like a part of the culture here. Over in America and elsewhere in the world, it was just a set of films. So they're like the difference in level of reference is pretty dramatic.
Maybe, yeah, I get the difference in the references, but still, it was pretty popular everywhere, right?
That's true. There are theme parks, I guess. But anyway, Herald comes down. We saw a trade across the map. Dragon for Suning, Herald for FPX. And now they're going to slam that into the mid lane as it does a ranged charge. Okay. Wow, Heralds are evolving. The Void is becoming stronger. Maybe that'll be the next global event as the Void comes on in instead. It's going to be a tower. On is on the flank. Here's the TP. Angel's behind everyone as well. This is the moment for Suning, but he just gets rooted. On can't play the game. He has to back out the other side of the fight. Nuguri now the target, but it's on to go down first. Nuguri falls. Bin escaping with his life. Snip across the team as well. And Huanfeng can start to clean up. Doinb gets a root, but SofM is in looking for the play. Sonic Wave goes in, dives the tower here. SofM flashes over the wall after Doinb, finishes the kill, and Huanfeng finds Lwx, and it's an ace for Suning.
What aggression coming out from Suning. They see FPX pushed up, they take the opportunity, and it was messy, don't get me wrong. Ong nearly getting blown up instantly off the back of that fight and shut down, but the rest of the team are there to follow up, and they keep pushing, they don't give any room to breathe. Look at Ong on this initial engage. So Doinb does a great job of rooting him, stopping the quickness. The Chains of Corruption comes in as well. Renders him useless. But the problem is they just used a ton of CC tools onto that Rakan, and the rest of the team start moving forwards. Bing gets a ton of value off his ultimate. And SofM, Lee Sin in the mix of all these champions, able to tempest them all. And then they go for the chase here. The Sonic Wave connects, and they commit. And I mean, look at Huanfeng in this situation. Flashing forwards, Gale forcing forwards under the tower to kill Lwx. This was a full team commit coming out from Suning.
On the bottom side of the map now. Quickness just on cooldown. Another like 10 seconds and he would have had quickness to make the play onto Nuguri there. Nuguri will get away with it for now. So Bin doesn't get himself another kill. Let's assess where the gold is across the map right now, because it is 1,000 in favor of Suning. When you look at the carries right now, Huanfeng, 1.5 items. Same story coming through for Angel as he looks towards... In fact, he's just finished his second item, Rapid Fire Cannon coming on through. But FPX finding a tempo advantage and getting themselves a tier 2 in the top side.
Yeah, we saw Suning lead bot side, but now they're in position to contest this. Look on.
Gold card comes on out. Here's the CC chain. Tian going to be locked up here, but it's on just removed once again. Tian jumps into the fray onto Angel, but he's gone too deep for this one. Flashes over the wall, but here comes the curtain call. Nuguri has found Huanfeng, but Gale Force keeps him safe. 1-for-1 here, support for jungler, and now the re-engage. Angel on the front line. Again, gold card comes through. Crisp going to be locked up. FPX are on the wrong side of this play, but it doesn't feel like Suning can punish them.
I think they just did a great job of kiting backwards. I think the critical thing when you don't have a flank in that situation, the Chains of Corruption has so much value, especially in that tight choke point where you can't really move to evade it. SofM.
This play isn't over. Ooh. It is over. He gets away with it. Oh my days, that could not have been closer.
He was wearing his invisibility cloak there, Joe.
Got him. Nice. Oh dear. Lwx manages to get away with it. He's got one of the Deathly Hallows. We'll see if he can collect the other two across the course of this game. I don't know where to go with that one, honestly. We got Baron coming up in under a minute. We got Dragon in a minute 15. It feels like the game pace is sped up.
Yeah, definitely feels like we had that slower early game. The mid game, we've been getting fights pretty consistently. The approach from Suning is they want to try and get on this back line. They want to try and get that access, and they can. The reason it's so effective if you're flanking is Lwx's Chains of Corruptions can only go in one direction, right? Doinb, he wants everyone clumped together so he can get that big AoE combo, and they're just not allowing it to happen. But we do see Tian playing with fire a bit here.
Oh, good CC chain. That's going to be the ult coming through as well. Realm Warp out to safety. Everfrost keeps them at bay, and On just endlessly CC'd. He doesn't get to move at all in these fights. Beautifully done by FPX.
I think we might actually see him build a QSS in this game, honestly. He's got the null magic. These fights just feel unplayable for him. Every time he's getting locked down and then just goes almost instantly. It's really painful. Do you see them now starting up the Baron? It's a 5v4 on the map, but the ult comes down the Destiny. They have spotted them out here.
4v5 On not here just yet. The root comes in on Chris, but he still gets to go in anyway. Bin is just shredding the entire team. What was that, Bin? That was unbelievable. And Suning tear FPX apart. 4v5. They couldn't care less.
Bin goes huge with the triple kill. Manages to find the huge ultimate across the team fight. Takes out Doinb, takes out Tian, and they're able to deliver. Things were very back and forth, but this is now a big lead for Suning and a Baron to boot. It was a 4v5, Joe, and they managed to come out ahead.
That is insane coming out from Suning. And Bin especially, so often the star player on this team. And when we get a replay, we'll take another look at the Gwen play here, because he just gets to shred through the entire backline of FPX.
It honestly feels like FPX were a little bit disrespectful in this situation, because they just didn't anticipate the damage. They go for this engage, and you watch as Bin is able to close the gap and get a bit closer, and then fires off the first ult, second ult, and then third ult just does so much damage. Follows up with the snip to take out Doinb, and it's like, right, fight is already over. You've lost two of your vital members. And FPX, they were trying to commit to that play, and they end up getting punished for it massively. There's a shutdown as well that went on a Bin. He is now monster fed. 3 items completed when everyone else is on 2, if that.
SofM wants to try and go for this Drake, but he is totally alone right now. TP coming through from Bin behind the play. Can they steal the Drake away for themselves? Goes the way of FPX in the end. Now the fight ensuing. Angel has to use the Zhonya's Nuguri, getting chased down by Bin, who's in the back of the fight, causing mayhem, distracting, trying to take them down. Realm Warp out to safety, but it's Lwx has been abandoned by the squad. The invisibility cloak doesn't do much more anymore. Crisp stuck in the pit and executed by Bin. 15-6, and it looks like Suning might just push us to 3.
I mean, they are looking good in this game. FPX, they commit to the dragon, but it's third, right? You're behind in gold already. I think they try to sneak it and get out. Maybe the plan was use the Realm Warp, but they end up losing Nuguri in the fight, and they end up losing even more on the back end. And now, Doinb is low. They're looking for the curtain call.
I don't know if Tian can even tank this. Yeah, tanks it for Doinb, but SofM just goes in. 1Q might finish off Doinb if SofM can land it, but Huanfeng can't follow up for now. Just going to use the Baron, take these towers. Bin in the bottom side, pushing. No one can really properly match him. Nuguri has to stay underneath the tower at this point. That's 2 tier 2s taken already off of this Baron, and Angel is up in the top lane. Suning are looking to take everything.
I mean, they're playing the map wide, and honestly, it feels like FPX, they can't even answer individual lanes. Bin is too strong. Level 15 now, massively ahead. Angel can apply that pressure in the side lane. Now, it does look like they're going to reset. They've still got a bit of time on Barons. So they want to use those Baron recalls, spend some of the gold they have. And I mean, you look across the items, and it's 3 completed items from Huanfeng with the crit cloak as well. He'll be doing so much damage. And Bin, he's already completed 3 to Nuguri's 2, but he's picked up a needlessly large rod as well.
Yeah. And look at Angel right now. He delayed his recall to go do Scuttle Crab. Now he's moved to Chickens to clean those up. He's about to finish a Lich Bane when he does finally go for this recall. It was a good Realm Warp, but Crisp, in the edge of it, ended up still Realm Warping back into the pit. That is a little unfortunate for him. But SofM, maybe going a bit greedy, but I guess not. Nobody can punish him.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty tanky at this point, has mobility, so just able to pick up those Raptors. We do see, as you said, that reset coming in for Angel, so he's got that Lich Bane. Essentially, Suning they're looking for windows here. They might have found Doinb. There's no way he gets out.
Oh, the timing. The timing was so close, but Doinb realm warps out to safety. It's going to be an ulti for an ulti between the mid laners here, and he gets out with his life. So Suning, unfortunately, does slow their pacing a little bit because Destiny is a pretty long cooldown.
Yeah, and honestly, I think that was the windows they would be looking for right now. Can you catch someone out who's isolated on a rotation? Outside of that, you're not really going to be able to do too much else. You don't have the sieging power without Baron minions to take any turrets right now, especially as it's only that top lane tier 2. And it's 2 minutes on the Dragon and the Baron, so we're kind of leaning towards those as the play points.
So we've got a couple of minutes here, Aux, before the next fight is likely to happen, or so you'd expect at least. What do you want to see from FPX? How do they claw this one back from the jaws of defeat? How do they make the miracle comeback happen? Is it possible?
What they've been able to do well is when they kite back effectively, they CC single targets and they just blow them up, right? You know, you have a lot of that power coming out from Doinb. You root someone, you have the Chains of Corruption, you just execute them with an arrow and you keep kiting backwards. I think the reason it becomes problematic is because when the fights become messy, Lwx doesn't have any free time to really do anything. Doinb doesn't get too many casts off. And I think in those sort of scenarios, they can find a lot of value, but you need that backline to be able to kite back and stay protected. And it's been very hard to do so against Suning, but I think that's when things look best for them.
Suning setting up vision around this Baron. It's going to be the Cloud Drake and Baron spawning at exactly the same time here, almost about 6 seconds apart. So in the grand scheme of things, nobody cares about the Cloud Drake. Nobody's on Soul Point. Like, it's a Cloud Drake. Who cares? We're looking at the Baron here. It's very much going to be a play around that. But one thing that you have to say about FPX, they are one of the most intelligent teams when it comes to playing around the opponent's win conditions. FPX will know exactly what Suning are trying to do. Generally speaking, are good at being able to deny the picks that this Twist of Fate will be able to offer. The only question is that gold lead just too insurmountable? Because it feels like at this point, if you've got like Bin, SofM, and literally anyone else, probably Angel, you could probably just 3v5.
Yeah, it's definitely rough. I think if someone squishy gets picked off from Suning, I mean, that's the thing you got to think about, right? Is there are members on Suning who are going to have, like, you know, around 9,000, 10,000 gold. If you take out one of them, then you're removing that gold advantage from the map. The problem is you end up committing so many resources to do so, it becomes difficult. It's an uphill battle by all means, but I don't think FPX are the sort of team to give up. And you do see Suning just quickly pick up that Dragon. There's some pings coming out from Suning on the Baron. They're still very afraid of like a Realm Warp rush, but for the time being, I think FPX just contesting some of this vision before backing off into their base once more.
I mean, the big thing about the state of the map right now is, oh, hang on, Tian, have you been caught, my friend? That is a big gold card. My lord, the damage that Angel is doing at this point. Tian down to half, having to use his ulti. And that is an opportunity now for Suning to just run at the Baron, right? The enemy jungler is completely chunked, doesn't have his ulti, just start this one off.
I mean, yeah, they assume he's going to have to reset, so they'll just start straight on it. And again, they are happy to take a fight off this. They don't necessarily need the Baron. They just want to potentially bait into a fight. The Angel's hovering around. The gold card does not too much damage to Chris, but we'll just chunk him out. And I think with this, Baron's just gone.
I love how you see the Realm Warp from Doinb at the pit there. And it's like, it's obviously trying to get vision. Maybe they could steal with a Shock Blast or something. But the idea that maybe they try and make the miracle play happen, there is no universe where you win that 5v5 at this point in the game for FPX. It is just not happening. That would be teleporting directly into the meat grinder.
I would respect the play, though, if they went for that one. Wouldn't be smart, but would be pretty wild.
It's essentially what Bin did on the Baron play last game.
Yeah, pretty much.
It flashes into 5 people, and it was so close, but he did get one shot.
We do see Bin. It's not the sorting hat to Rabadon's death cap that he's completed there, so a lot of damage from that Gwen. Seeing components being picked up for Angel and Huanfeng, but it's that GA for SofM, and it's just really compounding the issue for FPX. The site advantage pretty significant. It's only really Doinb who's kind of a little bit on par with Angel with 3 completed. But, you know, I am still... And actually, I think Huanfeng just reset and picked up an Infinity Edge. So he's 4 items strong on this Jhin. His autos are going to do so much damage.
And just remember that, you know, you've got Angel there with his tarot cards, big on the divination, and we've seen through the books of Harry Potter that those that focus on divination often can see the future. So it feels like Suning know what's coming ahead.
That's the point of divination.
That's
literally the point of divination.
Well, the whole point of the whole books is that it's kind of a scam, right? Except occasionally. It's mostly just a scam, though. Tea leaves, whether they show you a picture of the Grim or not, are probably not the end of the world. I don't know what we're talking about anymore. Suning is so far ahead. This game is basically over, but it's such a slow one. They're struggling so hard to actually finish this one. But with the Baron, you expect they should be able to get some pressure. At very least, get the tier 2 on the top side.
Yeah, and I think they're doing a good job of playing this essentially 3-1-1 where Huanfeng is kind of feeling safe just to push the wave in. They have the support and jungle rotate up the Angel, crush this wave in, take this tower here. And now actually I believe they're going to have all 3 waves. No, sorry. Yeah, they have. I think they have a wave mid as well. It's going to crash in about a similar time. So FPX have to move up here and clear this wave. We'll see a wave coming mid. It was actually a bit slower. The wards on the map were baiting me. It's not the wards, it's traps. I see the traps.
Play from FPX. They want to catch Angel here. The flash forward. Angel locked up. There's the stun as well. And they managed to find one member of Suning. At what cost? Has been dives onto Nuguri. 1v1 under the tower in the base. Bin does not care. He wants revenge for the World's Finals. Now in the mid lane, the inhib in trouble here. This is a 4v4 across the map. As Suning will take 2 inhibs. Can they end the game? Are they willing to risk everything to end right now? The answer is no. They move up to the top side. They want themselves a 3rd inhib.
Yeah, I think it's super risky to go for this again. Chains of Corruption, a lot of value if you push in or onto those Nexus towers. Instead, they want to apply that pressure on the top side. Does look like FPX are getting in position to contest this. I think they have to go for the fight.
Takes some damage here. They go engage onto On. It's not the greatest target though when the tower is down. Bin is just completely untouched. He can do what he wants in these fights. Tian can't do anything to him. Bin can just 1v5 at this point. And Huanfeng is like, you know what? Count him, baby. That's 2 shots going in as Tian does just get onto the fountain, but it doesn't matter because there's a needle and thread out and Bin is sewing up a storm right here. It's going to be FPX going down on the Fountain Angel, locking everyone up with the Everfrost as Huanfeng gets himself a bonus little kill. 8-0 and 5 on the Jhin. And that is game. That is 3 games now that we're going to as Suning even us up in the series.
And a convincing game. It felt like once more the slower paced early game, teams just testing the limit, even FPX having that little advantage with them picking up the Herald early, and then it felt like Suning found that great window to punish with the flank opportunities. I feel like that's been the story of today, is teams just being able to get on top of these backliners, causing massive issues for them, and the team who engages first tends to come out ahead. And on the back of that play, they managed to cement a pretty substantial lead and continue that pressure throughout this game.
Beautifully done here by Suning, and I have to say, even with that gold lead, I was a little nervous when they seemed to be stalling out. They didn't seem to be able to just push that last little bit forwards, and then FPX managed to find a pick on the top side, but Bin took things into his own hands. He sees everyone going top side, he's like, right, come here, Nuguri, I want a 1v1.
And yeah, I mean, he convincingly won it, and I honestly think had a great performance on this Gwen. I think kind of showed what this player can do when he's able to find that advantage. And it wasn't even like the team necessarily played massively for him. He just found these windows to accelerate a lead. He found that window in the fight around the river where he chained together the ultimates and just decimated Doinb and Tian. Really well played for him, but I feel like the whole team stepped up. It was a better game for Jhin from Huanfeng, and we saw the impact of that.
It was really an exceptional game on Jhin for Huanfeng there, because I think, especially after game number 1, I was very critical of the Jhin pick. And again, I said it at the end of game 1. I didn't think it was a Huanfeng issue. I thought it was a champion issue. But you said it at the end of the second draft that this was a much better setup for Jhin. He had way better targets to select from. And I swear, Huanfeng doesn't miss a W. He doesn't miss an ult shot. Like, every single time, he is an absolute marksman on this champion. There's a reason it was everyone's favorite Huanfeng pick at the World Championship. And it continues to perform even when it's not really in the meta.
Yeah, and I think, you know, especially when the champion pool gets thinned a lot, which we've seen quite a few times in this series where a lot of them are banned away, a lot of priority picks are gone. You're up against something like a Varus, which is kind of hard to deal with. The fact he's bringing this out and making it work is really cool to see.
It's beautiful to see. And It's a game for Suning, so it does mean we're going to 6 games today, Dan. We're going to jump into a break, then we'll see what this